The preliminary hearing for Charlie Kirk's accused assassin, Tyler Robinson, resumes today after state investigator says Robinson told his family he was involved in Kirk's murder. Watch.
What was your understanding as to why he was showing up there voluntarily?
He had informed, I believe, his immediate family that he had been involved in the shooting and that he wanted to turn himself in.
A new surveillance video allegedly shows Robinson on campus before, during, and after the shooting. As the video played, Agent Holt testified it showed the suspect on the roof. Listen.
You believe this to be Mr. Robinson?
I do, yes.
And how long is he out there on the edge of the building?
Just until the reported shot was fired at 12:23 and 28. The individual then stands up and then moves across the building to the north.
Fox News contributor and retired FBI supervisor Special Agent James Galliano and Fox News contributor and criminal defense attorney Donna Ratuna join us now. All right, I want to split this up. James, let's lean into your law enforcement background, and then we'll go to the legal analysis with Donna. So let's talk about some of the evidence presented in court yesterday, James, because it tells a story. The DNA allegedly linking Robinson to the rifle was presented in court. Ballistic evidence was presented, and then surveillance video that shows him before, during the crime, and then after the crime. The autopsy report was presented in the court, and then the former roommate and lover and partner, that handwritten confession that was left, as well as the text messages. What did we learn?
I know you've been following this case closely, Nicole. What are your thoughts of what we've seen so far?
The prosecution has a much better case than the media had reported before. I think a lot of the evidence, especially some of the things that we can't see, like the video of the actual shooting from all the different angles, the actual autopsy report, have detailed so many things that were not made public to us in the beginning. So, you know, there are all the conspiracy theorists and, you know, all this, he never set foot on campus. And here's a whole video of him walking across campus. Oh, that's not him. Wait, that's his face on his body with his clothes on, walking on campus. He was never on the roof. Here's a picture of him in that same clothing on that roof. It really just took all of the air out of the people who have been looking for little tiny pieces of anything to sow chaos in this case. I have been, and this is hard to say, I am absolutely blown away by the vigorous defense, the robust defense. The defense attorneys are doing everything they can, right? Vigorous defense, but I am so impressed with this prosecution team. I am absolutely impressed with the way that when you think, okay, that's enough information, they're like, but no, there's more. Let's add some more on top. But no, here's the autopsy report, right? Here's videos from 7 different angles. It was just so remarkable to me how they sat on that information and it didn't leak. It did not leak all over the place, but the focus is on bringing that information to bear in the courtroom to make sure that Tyler Robinson's rights are not violated, but there is justice for Charlie, his wife, and his 2 children. And I absolutely, again, breathtaking the way this case is playing out. No one can say that his defense team is not doing their best. I mean, they're arguing over the way the papers was clipped together. I mean, they're arguing every single point, but the prosecution is time enough for them. They've got evidence on top of evidence, receipt after receipt. This is going to be a great case. I mean, great case, not because Charlie's dead, but a great case for people who watch cases. We're going to see an epic battle between these 2 teams of attorneys.
Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts before I get you in on this? Want to make sure the audience understands, okay, this is a preliminary hearing. So it's not the actual trial yet. So the purpose of this is not to decide guilt or innocence, this preliminary hearing. It's basically the court's first serious evidence test. All right. So the judge is deciding whether prosecutors have enough evidence or probable cause to move the case forward to an actual trial. All right. Shelley, what are your thoughts on what we've seen so far?
I actually think we didn't need 5 days. I think I think they've made their case, if you will, as far as probable cause. I think they made that they could have done that all in Monday or certainly Tuesday. Yeah, I don't think we needed 5 days for this. That's number one. Number two, one of the things that I was glad to, I guess, learn about today, because that was one of the questions I had long ago, as did, I'm sure, millions of others. How he got up onto the roof, but he didn't have a limp. He did have a limp. Did he have the gun in his pants? Did he not have it? So I like that explanation. I think from whatever he was saying, it seems to me that it looks like the gun was not broken, but separated, the stock and the barrel, and that it seems, allegedly appears, that it was in his pants. And so that's why he was walking kind of funny. That was one of the things I was glad to at least have a little bit of clarity about that. That's number one. Number two, I think the judge is actually very fair. I think he is very fair. He's I don't know what I want to call it. I'll say admonishing. He's admonishing the prosecution, and he's admonishing the defense. And I don't think he's not coming across as one side or the other. And I think that's very important. The challenge that I have, which is kind of just, I wish the judge would allow for the cameras to have a wider angle. Right there, I appreciate that this is just a preliminary hearing, and I think he's being, he's moderating himself, the judge, as far as incrementally releasing information, because he doesn't want things to get too far ahead of the process. I get that. So hopefully in the actual trial, we will have more camera angles, and we will be able to see a little bit better the witnesses up close, maybe again getting a feel for their body language, things like that. Just having that little bit more detail, to me, was going to be much helpful.
Yeah, one of the things that kind of was I like that has been established, at least. Now, of course, we're waiting for the trial to really get all the meat and potatoes, but the timeline I thought was very important, and it sheds a little more light on this. So basically what's occurred here is he confessed to his Discord, allegedly confessed to the Discord chat at 7:57 p.m. local time that he killed Charlie Kirk. All right. And then he would turn himself in to the Washington County Police at 9 p.m. Mountain Time. All right. So that's a full hour prior to turning himself in that Tyler Robinson confessed to the Discord chat. All right. And so then he was then formally arrested hours after he turned himself in, which appears to be as late as 4 a.m. local time. We have a video here of this, again, is newly released surveillance video showing him turning himself in after allegedly assassinating Charlie Kirk. All right, take a look here. From Fox News. And so that's just a quick video of him, turning himself in. Again, this is all never before released surveillance video of him doing this. So prosecutors played the footage during his preliminary hearing, showing him arriving at the sheriff's office after the fatal shooting.
Yeah, I'm glad that a lot of this was not released up until now. I am glad about that. I'm glad that it was kept under wraps, if you will. Number two, I actually don't think that these the information that came out so far this week, I don't think is going to quell any of the, I'll call them hardcore conspiracy theorists or conspiracy. I don't think they're going to quell them. Now, I will say this: on the other side, some of the information that came out may still lend for some reasonable questions. We will probably get that in the trial, as we should, right? But the hardcore conspiracy theorists, I don't think this is going to quell them at all. So again, I'm one of the things there was a report that Tyler Robinson, I think it was Megyn Kelly, that the report that Tyler Robinson was laughing at one time, I think earlier this week, as the preliminary trial began. He was laughing, whatever, I don't know for what reason. But it's coming across, the more I see Tyler Robinson, I do think that he's on the spectrum in a way. Having said that, I'm not saying that should be an excuse for what he did. By no means at all. I still can't even grasp having Charlie Kirk and assassinated in the same sentence. It still doesn't even hit home for me. But I do think that he has some kind of aloofness about him, some kind of emotional detachment that to me speaks that he might be on the spectrum. But I think he's on the spectrum enough that he's functional to know what he did.
Of course, but this is where all these trans, he was in that trans lifestyle. They're weirdos. All right. Here's another video. Utah SBI agent Brian Davis testified that Tyler voluntarily arrived at the Washington County Sheriff's Office around 9 p.m. on September 11th with his parents and a family friend before identifying himself by name. All right, take a look here.
The reason you went down there was you had been told that an individual wanted to turn themselves in.
That's correct.
Did you observe that individual?
I did.
And where was that person at the time?
So when we arrived, we went into the room that we were in. It was one of their office, the cubicles there. On the wall, there was a television monitor where I viewed an individual on that screen that was sitting in one of the soft interview rooms. That room was equipped with audio video recording device. And so I observed him on that screen at that time.
Were you aware, or did you become aware what time that individual arrived at Washington County Sheriff's Office?
I was told he arrived there about 9 p.m. that evening.
And was he with anybody else?
He'd come there with his parents and a family friend.
Did you speak with this individual that we've been talking about?
Yes, I did.
Did you get his name?
Yes, we obtained his name and date of birth.
What was his name?
Tyler Robinson.
Did he tell you that himself?
He did.
Again, this is more evidence in this preliminary hearing that we're seeing for the first time. Nicole, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
I think, again, this kind of just hammers the nails a little bit further in the coffin, if you will, right? And again, there's video evidence. Then the person that he first encountered who spoke to him, there's testimony from that. I agree with Shelley. They could have wrapped this up on day one, maybe halfway through day two. At this point, it just seems from my perspective that there's this overarching theme of we have more evidence than we need for the judge to say, yes, there's enough evidence for this trial to push forward. Again, the defense, to take nothing from them, they are doing a fantastic job with limited resources. It is what it is. But at every turn, they've done their best to contest things, to question things. So I think he's going to get much more of a fair trial than I originally thought that he would. I thought that the defense team would be more Carmelo Anthony-ish, trying to mitigate the death versus actually trying to prove something. Now, do I think that he's still going to end up with the death penalty? Absolutely. Especially after seeing this prosecution team saying, but wait, there's more, and there's more evidence, and there's more, and there's more. And we didn't even touch the text messages that he sent to his lover immediately following the event. We haven't even talked about that yet. You talk about an excited utterance. There's a reason why they wanted to bring in not the lover per se, but what he said to the police, his interview with the police. They want to have that information and not the man, just his words, to be a part of the evidence for this trial. It's going to be crazy to see this. But again, this is how our system is supposed to happen. He's supposed to get a vigorous defense. The prosecution is supposed to lay out all of the evidence. I want to say the judge is kind of fair. I wish he was a little bit more stern from my point of view. He seems a little West Coasty to me, but it is what it is. But I think this is going to be the closest thing to a fair trial that Tyler Robinson could expect.
Yeah, and speaking of those text messages, so here in this next clip, we have where they're the exchange between the judge and I believe the prosecution, where they're talking about how there are text messages that have not been released entirely to the public. Take a look here.
It actually prompts, in order for me to get to that, I do want to ask the state, are you intending to introduce the text messages as an exhibit in this proceeding, the preliminary hearing?
Yes, Judge, we will be attempting to and moving for the admission of the text thread, the Discord thread, and I think, and the note that is referenced in Mr. Twiggs 1102.
All right, and let me take one step at a time, just for clarity. And again, Mr. Novak, I really do appreciate you being so precise. It's helping me parse it out so we can address it, because it's important. And I recognize that you're advocating for your client. And so I want to give it its due time. The text messages, from my understanding, and either side weigh in, my understanding that those were released to the public months ago in their entirety.
Judge, if I may, they were not released in their entirety. Portions of them were placed into the charging document, the information that supported, in part, the charges that the state has filed. We did not put the entirety of them in.
Woo!
And now we wish to publish more of them than were included in the charging document.
Uh-oh.
I see.
There it is. There it is. So this is what we're talking about, folks. Lots of stuff to come. Lots of stuff to come on both sides, I imagine. So again, but this preliminary hearing has put out at least a lot of bombshells in order to let us know we don't even know half of what we think we know. All right. So all these people, and admittedly on both sides, everybody needs to take a breath. All right. Stop with the conspiracy. Stop with the accusations and let the evidence play out. Okay?
Which is what I said from the beginning. This is why I said from the beginning.
That's what you said.
I said things need to just play out. People can ask their questions, but let things play out. I that's what I wanted. I'm again from the beginning. People, this event, and that's putting it mildly. This assassination was not just a travesty to Charlie Kirk and his family. Absolutely was. I'm not minimizing that. But this was a psychological, emotional, I don't know what you want to call it, a hit to our soul, to our system as a country, right? Even if you did not like Charlie Kirk, agree with him or whatever, to actually see that the only assassination most of us at this time in history have seen, some of our ancestors may still be living that remember MLK and JFK, maybe, but many of them did not see it. Okay, they saw the replay on TV or something like that, or they got the full effect of it from a documentary or something. We actually saw it in real time, not just here in this country, the world over. That was it, to say it was heart-wrenching is put as an understatement. It was a psychological warp, if you will, on our mental, emotional, and psychological state as a country.
Of course. And even in this preliminary hearing, they showed a excerpt of the judge, and he was watching the shooting, and he flinched. He jumped. It's that nerving. And I'm sure he saw probably a fully HD 4K. He probably saw it like that.
Yeah.
So,
and they say that video that made him flinch, we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen, because they have so many different angles that have not been publicly released. So, again, if we set the tragedy aside and we look at this purely from how our system actually is supposed to work, I think this case, because of all of the players, because of the evidence and the veracity of the defense, this is really going to be a textbook example for Americans on how our legal system is designed to work. Well, just because we love Charlie and, from our perspective, the preponderance of the evidence, somebody should have been put a bullet in his kid's head. He's guilty, dead to rights. But then there are the other people who are saying he hasn't had his day in court. We haven't challenged any of this evidence. We haven't called one witness yet. We don't know what was in his mind. You haven't seen all the evidence. I can poke holes in this, and this. And all it takes is one juror. It just takes one juror to set this thing in a whole different direction. So from a case study point of view, this is going to be epic. This is going to be bigger than OJ. It's going to be bigger than Carmelo. This is going to be epic. And I'm glad to see, and again, I'll keep saying this, I'm glad to see that his defense team is trying their best to put up a defense. There's nothing sadder to see somebody on trial for their life and their defense counsel is playing heyday on their cell phone. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm so glad to see this playing out this way.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And finally, another thing that dropped today that was a bombshell is the DNA samples. So there is we have a video here showing they're stating they have DNA samples matching 95% to Tyler Robinson and 5% to Lance Twiggs. All right, take a look at this.
Exhibits 7 and 8, that they both had mixtures. Excuse me. Yes, items 7 and 8. In your testing of these items, that they both had mixtures. And you stated, I want to make sure I understood this. You stated, I believe, that the minor contributor was less than 20%, and that it was actually 5%. The ratio is 5% to 95%.
For one of the samples, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Does that mean the 5% was from Twiggs and the 95%, that 95% is assumed from the defendant, the Robinson?
When I calculated the statistic, Twiggs's DNA profile aligned with the 5% contributor, and Mr. Robinson's DNA profile aligned better with the 95% contributor.
Okay. Same question with regard to 8. I think you said the ratio is 11% from the minor and 89% from the major. Is that Twiggs being the 11% and Robinson being the 89%?
Yes, Twiggs better aligned with that 11% contributor, and Mr. Robinson better aligned with that 79% contributor.
There you have it. And so just want to be clear. So they're talking about the towel wrapped around the rifle in the woods had DNA samples matching 95% to Tyler Robinson and 5% to Lance Twiggs. And the screwdriver was item 8 that had DNA samples they're alleging matching 89% to Robinson and 11% to Twiggs. Twiggs is his furry trans boyfriend. So, I mean, more and more stuff is coming out. Ladies, final thoughts on this. Nicole.
I'm ready for it to get started.
That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, again, the DNA, I don't see why this was relevant to the preliminary. That's what I think they're gone too far for this. I think we're ready to give us a trial date and let's get it started. So that's all. I mean, yeah. Yeah,
I agree. And last but certainly not least is Erika Kirk, his widow. She has been trashed all through the news, not just from the left, but also on the right. As we know, Candace Owens has been throwing out all types of conspiracy. You know, many of the things she has been saying have been debunked in the preliminary hearing. And that may be one reason why they felt as though they had to go over the top, because we have had a concerted effort, all right, to poke holes in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So this may be very well one reason why they've been having to put forward all this stuff, and we're like, okay, enough is enough. But she is one of the ones, and I've said this before, I would love for one person in the chat who still supports this evil wench, who believes that Erika Kirk is somehow involved with this. Tell me why Charlie Kirk's parents are still on her side. Can you tell me why she is seated in the courtroom? His parents are locked arms with her. And so are his parents involved in some type of conspiracy as well? I haven't had anybody able to connect the dots there, or at least provide some type of response to that, because we all know that Candace Owens has been raking this widow through the coals, saying she had something to do with his death.
this is what I don't know what people have been saying. I'll say this week. What is the beef about her this week? I mean, she's just appearing in the preliminary.
They talk about that she's wearing the heels and the clothing that she wore to the courthouse were too expensive. Her hair
is too long.
Right.
You know.
I haven't seen any pictures of her in the courthouse. I haven't seen any of her going or coming.
Her walk back and forth. But again, she's there with his parents. There has been no one, zero people come forward that are close to the Kirks, family members. No one has come out and said that Erika Kirk or TPUSA has had anything to do with this murder. All right. Nobody, zero, but Candace Owens. All right. And today in the courtroom, Danae Branch, who was in the courtroom today, was crying. And apparently Erika Kirk tapped her on the shoulder and gave her some tissue. And this has gone viral as well. And so she's out speaking about this. So I want to just share this very quickly before we go. This is Danae Branch. She was in the preliminary hearing courthouse today, and she's explaining what happened.
To the hearing today, the preliminary evidential hearing for the Tyler Robinson versus the state. So I went thinking I was going to support Erika, and at one point I turn around and I see her just holding on to her sweet mother-in-law, and I kind of lose it, start crying. Next thing I know, I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I turn back and Erika is handing me one of her tissues. She didn't know that I was there for her. We weren't allowed to wear anything to tell her that we were there for her. But that's just who Erika is. She's good. I took the tissue and I looked back at her and I said, "Oh, Erika, I hope she feels my prayers for her."
This is humanity. There is humanity left in the world. But I am sure that it feels like that this isn't something that is far in between, because the amount of visceral and just nastiness that has been hurled against this widow is unlike anything I've ever seen. Ladies, you please correct me. I mean, can you provide an example of anyone that, like a celebrity, a famous person that has faced this amount of ridicule being the loved one of someone who was murdered? I'm really trying to figure that out. I can't think of anybody.
Give us a Friday, maybe we'll think about it. But
right, because when you think Jackie O when JFK was shot, right?
She was
no one said anything about her. You know, they didn't talk about her clothes. Well, they talked about her clothes in a great way. You know, during the funeral, how she walked behind the coffin. You know, they did not make the way that she grieved her husband public fodder. But we are in a different part of, you know, society now. Like, the world is very small now. And the number of people who talked about the length of Erika Kirk's hair on the internet for this last week has just been, her hair is too blonde. It's too celebratory.
There we go with the hair. There we go with the hair again. There we go.
Her dress is too tight. I mean, this woman's got a dress that comes down to her calves in Utah in the summertime. You know what I mean? Her shoes are too high. Why does she have on stilettos? Why does she have security? Well, because you shot her damn husband in the neck. Why do you think she has security? Let's not be all the way dumb. Let's put a little bit of bright light somewhere in this dark moment. Love Charlie, hate Charlie. Love Erika, hate Erika. When you look at the human condition, she's a young woman with two very small children whose husband is dead. And if you can't find it in your heart to give her some grace because she hasn't gone to get her hair trimmed, I don't know what to tell you. You're a horrible human being. Let's start there. You're a horrible, horrible person. If she came in all black with a long veil, they'd be saying, "Oh, she's doing too much. You know, she's laughing under there. She's probably talking to her boyfriend on her glasses." I mean, all of this crazy shit.
Yeah.
Give people a chance to be human. Put yourself in their shoes for once.
The only person or people I could think of now, unfortunately, all three of them are dead from the same incident. Was that after JFK Jr. and his wife and her sister, when the helicopter crashed? Okay. After that, there was some chatter for a little while. kind of indirectly blaming Carolyn a little bit, and basically, saying that she wasn't fit to be his wife, things like that. But unfortunately, all three of them died. But that's the only thing I could think of to come close to, but
anything like it, right? I can't think of it. So when you think about the attempted assassination on Ronald Reagan, right? People rallied around Nancy, even Democrats rallied around Nancy. It was really, although Charlie was not a publicly elected official, I don't think that Americans who are not political understand the gravity of who he was in not only the conservative movement, but in the Christian movement. So there are certain subcultures where Charlie was larger than life. And, people say, oh, it was overkill, the big public funeral and all of that. Was not. This man touched so many, engaged so many, and to see his widow have to endure these slings and arrows, there's nothing that she can do right for either side. No. The only thing that she can do is just be who she is and just, not listen to the people who think that she should have, come in a black trash bag with a sophisticated bob and kitten heels. I mean, she's a grown ass woman. If she wants to come in stilettos, wear your damn stilettos. She's wealthy. If she wants to wear a designer dress, wear your designer dress. She wore what she wanted to wear. She looks the way she wants to look. Charlie loved her. Whether she had on flip-flops or stilettos, he absolutely adored her. And some of the stuff that people are saying is starting to burgeon on, jealousy of the highest order.
Oh, and jealousy, obsession. I mean, the list goes on. And the thing that's even more striking is this is a woman that was not in the public eye hardly ever prior to Charlie Kirk's murder. Okay, so, this has got to be an extremely impactful issue. Just the whole thing is just tragic. It really is. And again, folks, we continue to lift this woman and her family and Charlie's family up in prayer. As you mentioned, the Kennedys didn't have a Candace Owens back then.
Right.
So
the world was much bigger back then.
Yeah.
So.
But we will continue to keep you all posted on this. We're going to continue talking about this case until the end. We're going to follow it closely. So if you want continuous updates, make sure to subscribe to Poppin' Politics. Subscribe right here. And so you know where to go about these updates, and share this video. Share this on your timeline, on your social media, and a DM, and subscribe.